Today, we're diving into Apple. Now you'd think they're on top of the world, and in many ways they are. But behind all that success, there's a huge challenge brewing, one that could seriously define their entire future. So let's get into it.
Okay, just look at this number, $143.8 billion. That wasn't Apple's revenue for a year. Nope. That was for a single quarter in early 2026. It's a number so big, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around it.
And yeah, when you're pulling in figures like that, it's easy to see why Apple looks completely invincible. It's less like a company and more like this giant, impenetrable fortress in the world of business.
But what if that fortress isn't as solid as it looks? What if, at the very moment it seems strongest, the company is actually facing its biggest threat yet? That's the real question we're digging into here.
And that brings us to this central idea, this really interesting paradox at Apple. How can a company be so unbelievably dominant with its finances, but at the same time be showing some pretty serious signs of weakness?
Because while all that money is pouring in, this is the phrase you keep hearing from critics. This is how they're describing Apple's strategy in what is, let's be honest, the most important technology of our era, artificial intelligence.
To really understand how Apple might get through this, we have to first look at where all its power comes from. And it all boils down to one thing, its legendary, and some would say unbreakable, ecosystem.
You see, all these products, they create what some analysts call digital glue. Your iPhone seamlessly talks to your Mac, which syncs up with your iPad, and it's all held together by iCloud. It just works. And that makes the idea of leaving for something else a huge pain.
And the proof is right here in the numbers. A staggering 92% of iPhone customers just buy another iPhone. That's not just brand loyalty, that's the lock-in effect in full force.
So this idea of lock-in is absolutely crucial. We're not just talking about the cost of a new phone. It's the time, the effort, all your data, your photos, your messages, everything you'd have to move to switch over to, say, Android. And here's the payoff. That ecosystem lock-in is so powerful that it's turned services, things like iCloud, Apple Music, the App Store, into Apple's second biggest business. We're talking over $30 billion in one quarter, and with crazy high profit margins too. But, even the strongest fortress can have a weak spot. And for Apple, that weakness is becoming painfully obvious. It's a real Achilles heel, their struggle with AI.
And look, this isn't just one little misstep. We're seeing a pattern. The iPhone 16 came out without the key AI features its competitors had. Their AI news tool had to be pulled because it was making some really embarrassing mistakes. And the big Siri 2.0 update pushed back because of major engineering problems.
So what's the deal here? Well, it all goes back to a huge strategic choice Apple made. They bet everything on a privacy-first, on-device approach to AI. And while that sounds great for users, it just can't keep up with the sheer power and data that Google's cloud-based models have. It's actually forced Apple to partner up with its biggest rival, Google, just to power its own AI.
So you've got that big AI problem happening inside the fortress, but at the exact same time, the walls are getting attacked from the outside. Apple is fighting some major battles on a bunch of different fronts all around the world.
Let's start with this number, 500 million euros. That's how big the fine was that the European Union slammed Apple with for breaking its new Digital Markets Act. This is a direct shot at the App Store, the very thing that fuels all that services revenue.
And the EU is just one problem. Over in China, Huawei is making a huge comeback, taking back market share with its own advanced chips and AI. And then, back in the US, you've got all this uncertainty around tariffs, which creates unpredictable costs that not even a company like Apple can just ignore.
Okay, so things are getting complicated, right? Internal weaknesses, external threats. So what's Apple's game plan? How are they fighting back? This is where the story gets really good, because they're making three massive bets to protect their future.
First up, the MacBook Neo. And this is just a brilliant strategic move. For $599, it's not really about selling a cheap laptop. It's a gateway drug. It's designed to pull millions of new people into that Apple ecosystem, where, you guessed it, they can sell them all those high-margin services.
Their second big bet is India. They are going all in. Sales have already smashed records, hitting $9 billion. Apple sees India's growing middle class as its #1 growth opportunity for the next 10 years. It's also a critical way to become less dependent on China.
And finally, there's the Vision Pro. Now, don't get distracted by the slow initial sales. For Apple, this isn't about winning in 2026.
This is the long game. It's a massive investment designed to make sure they own the next big computing platform, spatial computing, where the digital and physical worlds merge.
So when you put all these pieces together, you get this really fascinating picture, right? On one side, you've got these incredible strengths, tons of cash, that super sticky ecosystem. But on the other side, you have these glaring weaknesses in AI and these huge external threats from regulators and competitors breathing down their neck.
And that brings us right back to where we started, with this paradox. Apple's financial fortress, built on cash and customer loyalty, has honestly never been stronger. And yet, the siege it's facing, from regulators, from competition, and from its own AI problems, has never been more serious.
And that leaves us with the big, multi-trillion-dollar question that's going to define Apple's next decade. As the world moves from being all about the device in your hand to being all about the AI that powers it, is having the best hardware and the stickiest ecosystem still going to be enough to win?